the people, our mutual friends from school who went up for the weekend, your typical Reading and Leeds goers, you might say, they were not watching Maiden.
Scum. Subhuman scum.
Hello and welcome to Maiden Voyages, a podcast devoted to exploring the peerless discography of the world's greatest heavy metal band, Iron Maiden. So, as you know by now, across this series we've been journeying through the band's entire discography, discussing, analysing, dissecting, celebrating, and even a bit of commiserating every single Iron Maiden record. So, finally, after a little delay, we've arrived in 2006. To explore the band's Bellicose 14th album.
Sorry, what's Bellicose?
Bellicose, I thought English teacher dropped that in.
Yeah.
Like warlike, militaristic.
Okay.
See what I did there? Yeah.
Yeah, I see what you did there. Just never heard that word in my life.
You learn on this podcast, folks. You learn stuff. And of course, the album
I feel like I'm unlearning things.
A matter of life and death. But first, let's introduce ourselves. So, I'm Blev, an historian of sorts. And I am an Iron Maiden faithful.
Oh, God.
A reference that is so out of date already by the time this goes out.
We are recording this on the 30th of November, so we're very far behind. Celebrity Traitors has wrapped up months
no one's
ago.
talking about it anymore.
If you're outside of the UK, you probably have no idea what we're even talking about.
Nope.
Okay, so I'm Sam, a journalist of sorts or writer of sorts. I don't even remember what I am anymore. It's been so long since we've done one of these. And I am an Iron Maiden. Well, I'm not a traitor.
What's who presents Traitors again?
I'm an Iron Maiden Claudia Winkleman.
You're an Iron Maiden Claudia Winkleman, yes.
All fringe.
Kind of sympathetically observing occasional snide comments.
Bit Machiavellian.
Yeah, a bit Machiavellian.
Yeah, okay.
An Iron Maiden Winkleman.
Yeah, okay. I can accept
Again, further for the international listeners, just going,
no idea.
Immediately switching off this podcast.
Oh, God, those Brits are on their nonsense
This is
again.
not for me.
Yeah. It's been a while.
It has been a while. Yeah, I was about to say we owe people an apology. We owe you nothing. But
this is a free podcast.
Yeah.
And we have lives and stuff. And lots of stuff has happened in our lives for the several months.
We had this in the calendar, right? We're doing it.
Yeah, this episode's been cursed.
Yeah, like... Yeah, God knows what's going to happen if this suddenly cuts out mid-pod. It's an asteroid has just hit your house. It's the cursed episode.
Well, this episode is so cursed that we're recording it now in between the napping of my child, hoping that we can at least get part of it recorded.
Yeah.
So,
So expect lots of quite jarring edits.
Yeah. I'll make them as seamless as possible. But if there's just a sudden like tape reel sound at some point, you know what happened.
We all know what's happened. But yeah, here we are. A matter of life and death, Sam. When did you first... I know the answer to this. When did you first hear A Matter of Life and Death?
I guess I heard it... Probably considering the time, a couple of weeks before it came out, because everything used to leak in those days.
Did this leak, though?
This must have leaked. It must have been on peer-to-peer file sharing services.
Because I think Maiden were one of the few bands... If you look at the way... like Malcolm Dome, the late great Malcolm Dome, did a write-up of A Matter of Life and Death that's still online, and he talks about going to the listening party for journalists to review it.
Yeah.
And it was proper. Everyone is searched. No one is given a copy.
Maybe there were
you have to listen to it in a booth. Yeah, I don't think they sent out promos. Okay. It's like, if you want to review it, you're going to come to us. We're going to like make sure you've not got any recording equipment on you. Like Malcolm Dome makes it sound like Fort Knox there. Okay,
then I would have heard it the day it came out, I guess.
Yeah,
it's the first Maiden album that came out during my tenure as a Maiden.
Yeah, I get the feeling I burnt you a CDR of it to listen to before the gig. I think I burnt a load of CDRs and distributed
not
to
for
everyone.
Me.
Sorry.
I pre-ordered it.
Oh, well, good for you. Yeah.
Yeah, like I owned it.
I don't condone piracy.
I think you would have done that for
killing
everyone
the
else
music industry.
we were with.
Yeah.
But no, at that point I was already dyed in the wool and just like, yes, I must own this.
Good man. Yeah. I mean, well, actually, it'll be a little while before we talk about going to that tour.
Actually, you know what? I think I bought it in Woolworths.
Yeah. That was
the Woolworths in Monmouth.
That's what happened in 2006.
Yeah, like it was before you necessarily pre-ordered stuff online, but CDs would always be out release day in Woolies.
Yeah. Well, stuff that charted, and this was, as we'll see, a top 10 album. So,
God. Yeah, 2006 doesn't sound like 19 years ago, but it's a while ago.
Yeah, it's the best part of 2 decades now, isn't it?
We are old, man.
Yeah. You know, when you consider that we went to see Metallica perform the 20th anniversary of Master of Puppets.
In 2006.
And now we're almost at the 20th anniversary of A Matter of Life and Death. You're just going...
Well, also in 2026, we're going to see Metallica.
Yeah.
Not just the summer.
Commemorating being in a band for ages.
Yeah.
How little has changed. But yes, weirdly, I can't remember. I mean, I would have got it the day of release. I can't remember.
Absolutely.
But it felt like there wasn't a huge amount of time between the album coming out and the tour starting. And we knew they were going to play, maybe this is just my memory, but it felt like I had to intensively listen to it all the time. Because I knew that they were going to play the whole album on the tour and I just wanted to know it inside out. So this was like, I was so hyped for this when it came out. I honestly went, the first probably 3-4 weeks after it came out, I was listening to A Matter of Life and Death multiple times every day. No exaggeration. The whole thing.
That is too much.
Yeah, I was so intensely into this album.
I remember listening to it a lot, primarily so that I'd be prepared for the gig. But like also I did enjoy it. When did the album come out?
Well, let's find out. Of course, I've written that down in my meticulous notes. So it came out on the 25th of August, 2006.
Okay, right. So the tour date that we saw them wasn't until the 11th of December. So we had a few months to bone up.
Yeah, you did have a few months. It's weird.
I thought it was a December gig.
Yeah, I always used to... Maiden
I remember standing outside the CIA and being freezing.
Yeah, back then Maiden always used to do the UK around Christmas time, December. It's the same on Dance of Death. That was December.
It was the first UK date of the tour.
Was it really now? Cardiff?
Yeah.
Interesting.
I've just found it all on ironmaiden.com.
What a place.
Anyway,
Can't recommend ironmaiden.com enough, people. What a place to be. Well, how about, Sam? Is it time for a quiz?
I suppose.
It's Be Quiz or Be Dead time.
Somehow I forget the quiz happens every episode, and yet here we are.
It's the best bit of the pod.
Is it?
It's all anyone wants.
Is it?
People just want an hour and a half of quizzing. That's all they're here for.
Actually, we have a competitor podcast that specializes in quizzing
with
Iron Maiden.
Isn't that like Michael Legg, the comedian? Is he Michael Legg?
I don't know.
He used to do
Iron Maiden pub quiz.
Yeah, I'm sure Michael Legg was involved in that, and he used to do a podcast with Simon Ince.
It is someone called Michael, Dan and Michael. Yeah,
it is Michael
comedian
Legg.
Michael Legg.
Yeah,
and actor Dan March. So these guys already have more public profile than either of us.
We need to get Michael Legg on the pod.
No, he's competition.
Is he? We are in a field of one, Sam. We have no competition.
I don't know.
And they all know it. They all know it.
It's a fun podcast. I've listened to it a few times. They're a good chat.
Well, there you go. Just
not as good as us, mind.
So if you are listening to this for the first time, don't just stop now and go, that sounds great, actually.
Ignore that.
What a fun time.
Ignore this free advertisement we've just done for a competitor podcast.
Right, I'm going to hit you with some questions.
Okay.
Question 1. What was the working title of A Matter of Life and Death? And a bonus point if you can tell me why they then decided to abandon it. Little clue, A Matter of Life and Death is interesting in the Maiden canon because it's one of a few Maiden albums that does not have a title track.
Okay.
Right, so maybe that's a little clue.
So were they going to name it after a track?
They were going to name it after a track.
Okay, well, I've got like a 1 in 11 chance or something.
They weren't going to call the album The Reincarnation of Benjamin Briggs.
I was about to suggest that. The Pilgrim.
Can you imagine The Reincarnation of Benjamin Briggs as an album title?
That's not a terrible album title, to be fair. These Colours Don't Run?
No, they were going to call it The Legacy. Do you know why? Do you think they opted against that?
Testament's debut album was called The Legacy. There's probably countless other albums called The Legacy.
There's quite a seminal thrash album.
But there's a very important thrash album
by Testament, and also they said
one of the worst recorded albums, as in production wise. Terrible recording, The Legacy.
Interesting.
Incredible album itself, but the recording quality is...
See, this is a tangent, but like some of that early thrash stuff, I think...
Sounds
like yeah, but like
rubbish.
the early Creator albums, it kind of gives it a vibe, that bad production.
Yeah, but there's such a jump between the production value of the Legacy and New World Order.
Yeah. True.
Anyway, this is to serve. This isn't the Testament podcast.
No, but
as great as that would be. Whoa.
But also, they worried that the Legacy might make it seem like this was somehow like a farewell album.
Yeah,
and it had connotations of like and they didn't want to.
It's also just very generic.
It is, yeah. The Legacy
sounds like
Iron Maiden.
a budget power metal band album.
Yeah, true.
No offense, but it sounds like a Freedom Call album.
Yeah.
Mr. Evil.
Or a Rhapsody album.
But Maiden don't really do like
Both fantastic.
the something album titles. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not really. It's not the.
The second working title was The
Dance
Matter of
Death.
Life and Death.
Yeah, The Matter of Life and Death. But yeah, Matter of Life and Death. I did a bit of digging. Still not entirely clear who suggested that, or there seem to be conflicting.
Isn't it the name of a film?
Yeah, it's quite a famous film of David Niven in the 1940s about a RAF pilot who.
I mean, it's also
dies
just a well-known phrase, right? Like, it's a matter of life and death.
Well, indeed, yeah.
So, I guess if you're making an album that's a lot of it is about war and conflict, I could see where it would kind of start to come in.
Another Maiden album that has death in the title this time. We've had Dance of Death.
Yeah.
A Matter of Life and Death.
And then the next album, The Final Death.
The Final Death.
Well, the next one is
The Book of Death.
The next album's at there.
It is, yeah.
Just disproving your entire...
Yeah, sorry, this pack of cards has all come tumbling down. Question 2. Now, this is wild.
Okay.
In an interview with Metal Hammer in 2006, Bruce Dickinson described A Matter of Life and Death as a huge leap forward, and it's our blank moment, comparing it to which band, right? He said it's our something moment. And
It's our hysteria moment. Comparing
yeah.
it to
So I'm looking for the name of a band to fill that, to complete that quote. It's our what moment?
be like Genesis? I don't know. Who would he reference? Deep
I mean, in a way, who would be the 1990s version of Genesis?
1990s.
/ 2000s.
A perfect circle.
I mean,
Tool.
Bruce said it's our Radiohead moment.
Naff off.
I mean, I don't really know what he meant by that.
Yeah, that's very much like a how do you do fellow kids kind of thing of like let's name check something that's culturally relevant at the time. Like, oh yeah, this is our what was big the Trivium moment.
Yeah,
like,
I mean, I can't imagine Tom York would like A Matter of Life and Death.
No.
If you played this to him.
Yeah.
Also, wasn't it the Radiohead guitarist Johnny Greenwood who was quite publicly rude about Bruce Dickinson in the aftermath of the Brexit thing?
Sounds very plausible.
Sounds
to be
right.
honest.
Yeah, so, Maiden's Radiohead album.
What? I just can't make sense of that statement. And there's nothing about this like
It's all the electronic samples on the...
yeah,
that's what
even ideologically, there's nothing about this that is analogous to Radiohead. And I'm not just saying that because I really dislike Radiohead.
I don't buy. For the record, I know, really like
yeah.
Radiohead. Yeah,
And I appreciate their cultural importance. Like, they're an important band. They're just not for me. And Radiohead fans are often very sycophantic. Not like Iron Maiden fans, not at all.
No, the most well-adjusted, normal fans in the world. Yeah.
But yeah, that really does reek of like just trying to sound relevant.
Well, yeah, there's a, and I think the mid-2000s period of Maiden, there is a lot of Maiden striving for cultural relevancy.
Yeah.
That I feel like by the time you get to 2010, they just go, we're so successul, who cares?
Yeah, exactly. We'll just march to the beat of our own.
Yeah, like honestly, who cares at this point? But at this point, you're right, they are still... there's this odd kind of...
It's very pick-me.
Hypocrisy is a bit harsh, but a kind of, on the one hand, the message is, we don't need the mainstream. The mainstream doesn't care about us.
But love me.
But
love
also,
me.
we are really relevant. We're a really contemporary band. Yeah, it's an interesting one.
Yeah.
Lastly, I think you'll get the answer to this question, Sam.
I mean, experience says I won't.
No, this is low-hanging fruit. So obviously, on A Matter of Life and Death, we have the song "These Colours Don't Run."
Yeah.
But what is the origin of that phrase? Where did that phrase first appear? In a Maiden context, I'm sure someone else might have said in history, "These colours don't run."
Yeah, I mean, it's a famous historical phrase, isn't it?
Not necessarily, I don't think. But
I thought it was.
well, I mean, I'm sure someone said it. I don't
I thought
think
it was like a wartime phrase of some kind.
When was the first time it appeared in a Maiden context? It was live on stage.
Oh, would it be at Sharon Gate?
Yes,
Yeah.
during Sharon Egg Gate Ozfest 2005.
Okay.
To be discussed later on.
Yeah.
I mean, that's basically what this podcast is. I don't have much to say about the recording of Life or Death. I've got quite
that
a
is
lot.
the most significant.
I've got quite a lot to say about the whole.
But I'm going to do a live fact check. So I'm sure These Colours Don't Run is got some historical significance.
Like, I'm not saying it's never been said, but I don't think it's like once more unto the breach. I don't think it's a canonical phrase.
No, I think it is a canonical
Is it?
phrase. It's like a patriotism phrase. It's about flags.
Well, I appreciate it's about flags. I don't think it was about like a rainbow or.
It gained popularity as a patriotic slogan and was famously used by Iron Maiden singer Bruce Dickinson at the 2007 Ozfest.
Okay.
But he didn't invent it.
No, I didn't claim he did, Sam. I like the idea of
You
it.
made it sound like it.
I like the idea of it possibly referring to the colours of a country's flag not running when they're literally washed. Like I didn't. These colours don't run unless you stick them on like a 3-hour cycle and don't put a colour catcher in which case they might run.
Here we go. Part of it is in an Australian patriotic poster from World War II. These colours don't run.
Good for you, Australia. It's a very odd flag as well. That's not the Australian flags we know today, is it?
No.
Sorry, this is not a visual podcast for people home looking at Sam.
But yeah, that's from World War II, so it's been around at least since the 40s.
Wow. Good on you, Australia.
Take that, Bruce.
Good on you, Bruce. Quite an Australian name, Bruce, as well, isn't it?
Struth.
Right. Let's get into the history, Sam. So, many moons ago, we left off because Dance of Death was released.
Yes.
September 2003. Considerable fanfare. A warm response to their second album.
It's a good album.
And naturally, they go on tour, right? So
Naturally.
What else are they going to do? So you've got the Death on the Road tour, 53 dates from starting in October 2003 to February 2004. Quite short, really, isn't it? October 03 to February 04. Shows weren't necessarily without incident, so there's a few shows cancelled because Bruce got flu and laryngitis.
Not ideal.
A show in New York, I remember this in the time, was also cut short after a beer was spilt on the sound desk. Do you remember that?
No.
No. It happened.
I'm sure I read the Blabbermouth article at the time.
Yeah,
but
so, if you are stood by the sound desk, just watch where you're putting your beer. I feel like that couldn't happen anymore. Sound desks feel quite boxed off these days. I don't think...
I think they're boxed off for a reason, though.
Yeah, you could just perch your beer on a mixing console. So who did Maiden take out and support, Sam, for their 2003-04 Death on the Road tour?
I mean, wasn't it Funeral for a Friend?
Yeah, in the UK it was indeed,
UK,
yes. To be discussed.
In America or elsewhere. Basically, in the UK, it will always be an ill-fitting act, and then elsewhere, it'll be someone that I'm jealous of.
Someone good.
It's going to be like Halloween or something.
Ah, you're so close. So
Primal Fear. It's Gamma Ray. Gamma Ray, isn't it? Yeah.
So in Germany and a few other Central European countries, they took out Gamma Ray as support. Gamma
What
Ray,
a show.
presumably...
Gamma Ray in 2003.
Yeah, still doing No World Order, or New World Order. Is it
No World Order.
No, it's No World Order, isn't it? Yeah.
But it has a song called New World Order.
Ah, it's the bloody Raining Blood
Yeah.
thing.
What an album. I love that album.
And they also took out, for the final part, Arch Enemy in 2004.
Ooh, on Wages of Sin tour.
Yeah, like Angela Gosso just started singing for them.
Yeah, I listened to Wages of Sin 2 days ago after like the whole thing with Alyssa leaving Arch Enemy.
Yeah.
It's just like, let's just remember when Arch Enemy were amazing.
Oh, and they were.
Wages of Sin was such a good album.
What a record. Yeah, and it's odd for Maiden to take out... I mean, we have seen it in the past,
It's quite an extreme band.
played shows of Slayer and Entombed. But yeah, very extreme pick for Maiden.
Having
It totally
said that,
makes sense, I think.
Arch Enemy is the closest thing Mellow Death gets to Iron Maiden.
Oh, yeah.
Basically.
Yeah.
Like, Michael Amott is basically like I watched an interview of him the other day where he's just like, yeah, we just brought the Iron Maiden twin lead thing into Mellow Death. It's like, yeah, great.
Great. What not to like?
Yeah.
Now, this is also a tour. It's the first tour where I can say what it
You were
was
there.
like. I was there as a young 14-year-old. So let's have a look at the set list.
As opposed to those old 14-year-olds.
all the other old 14-year-olds knocking about. No, I was a young, fresh-faced 14-year-old Sam. Never really been to a gig before.
I'm looking at Blevin now and he's haggard and aged,
Yeah,
so it's quite
true.
hard to imagine.
I mean, this was over 20 years ago.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But it was a good set list as well. So, like the Brave New World tour,
Yeah.
Dance of Death was very heavily represented in the set list, but, you know, some really good cuts from Dance of Death. So they played Opened with Wildest Dreams, Rainmaker,
Great.
Passchendaele,
Excellent.
No More Lies,
Nice.
title track.
Cool.
And what was really cool was the first song of the encore was an entirely acoustic Journeyman.
That's quite cool.
Yeah, with like the little sort of boy band style
Oh,
high
the
stools.
stools and stuff.
Everyone sort of sat down, just doing a little
Is
campsite
Journeyman
jam.
still the only properly acoustic song Maiden has?
Yes. How acoustic
They
is
must-
Prodigal Son?
Yeah.
But that's quite an acoustic song, but it's not entirely acoustic.
Like Journeyman has no electric instruments, right?
Well, other than the synth.
Sure, yeah, but the synths are everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah, must be. But yeah, that was like really fun.
Yeah.
And then the rest of the set list was just have some bangers, really. Run to the Hills, Fear of the Dark, Number of the Beast, Wrathchild, Brave New World, the title track, stayed in.
Yeah.
Was the sole song from the last tour that stayed there. They also did Lord of the Flies.
That's interesting.
Yeah, an interesting... I mean, it was a single, but at this point, it feels like a real deep cut, doesn't it? Dropping
Yeah.
Lord of the Flies in.
But
Again,
at that point, it wouldn't have necessarily felt like a deep cut, right?
Well, no,
Because it was only 2-3 albums ago.
yeah, exactly.
And a single.
Yeah, but yeah, really fun. More of that, please. Just like chuck in Future World or Man on the Edge. Would be totally happy for that.
And am I right in thinking this tour was captured as part of the Death on the Road?
It was indeed, yeah, which was
DVD
literally
and
it's from
CD.
the Dortmund show
Yeah.
and is about a couple of weeks before I saw them
Cool.
in the UK, and you get a real sense of the production and the sort of the stage setup for that tour.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because for an album, which, as we said, and this is not an original thought, has such a terrible cover.
Awful.
But the way they brought it to life on stage was great.
Yeah.
I
Stage
think
setup, excellent.
It's one of the best looking Maiden modern productions. It was just all Gothic castles and ramparts. They stuck with that colour palette of lots of reds.
Yeah, there's quite a cool
darks.
aesthetic, like look and feel to the Dance
Yeah.
of Death stuff, like that black, yellow, red, white color scheme, and like all those sort of circles and triangles. Like the motifs are great. It's
Yeah,
just
it
the
works really well
album
on
cover
stage.
itself is
Also, Grim Reaper
putrid.
Eddie.
Yeah,
awesome.
right.
Big Grim Reaper Eddie. Like, amazing.
just such an unforgivably bad album.
Yeah, the cover is bad. Also, watching Death on the Road back now, Death on the Road as an album and a DVD, I think is a really underrated. And maybe I would say this because it's got more significance for me than most people.
Yeah,
It's my first Maiden
yeah.
show I went to. But I do think it's a really underrated Maiden live product, really. The DVD looks great. It's in an arena,
Yeah.
which is really nice. It's not a big open air show.
Yeah.
It feels kind of intimate. The live album sounds great. Awesome track listing. I just think it came so soon after Rock in Rio.
Yeah.
There was a bit of live Maiden fatigue where people
Yeah,
were
well,
going,
that Live Maiden fatigue would only get worse, right? There's few bands that put out as, like in the early noughties, put out as regular live albums as Maiden did.
yeah, because Maiden didn't used to. This wasn't a
It was just
hallmark
like
of,
from Rock and Rio onwards, it's just kind of like, all right, we're going to immortalize most of our tours in some kind of live album product.
Yeah, well, there was a point where Rod was quite openly saying, we will do this for every tour.
Yeah.
And that hasn't quite come to pass, actually.
No.
There's a few gaps, of which the Mat of Life and Death tour was quite a big one.
Yeah.
Seeing as it was quite an unique, unusual tour in some ways, that we didn't get an official live document of it. But yeah, no, an awesome show. Yeah, from the point of view of someone being there, I just thought this is
Yeah.
It's on the barrier, sort of right in front of Dave Murray.
Was it Cardiff International Arena?
Cardiff International Arena. By sheer accident, I'd happened to be let in early.
Great.
Straight to the barrier. Poor Funeral for a Friend, bless them. Which for them was like a hometown show.
Yeah.
Doing Cardiff. The people did not like Funeral for a Friend.
That's a shame. Like,
I thought they were all right.
Yeah,
I mean,
they're not for me, but like they're a perfectly good band, and
yeah, and
like time has shown they've got a lot of longevity. Like they were playing Cardiff Castle last year.
Although, that shouldn't be harsh to Funeral for a Friend. It felt like they were hotly tipped to be massive in a way that never quite happened for them. And I think they've sort of become firmly lodged in most people's minds as a quintessentially early 2000s emo band, and not a great fit for Maiden's audience.
No, bad fit for Maiden's audience.
It was
full stop.
I sort of thought this was normal because I'd not been to many gigs, but in the queue outside the arena to get in, people were heckling Funeral for a Friend in the queue.
That's pretty weird.
The concert hadn't started, and there were people just shouting abuse about Funeral for a Friend. You forget how marked the emo metal culture war of the early 2000s was.
Yeah.
If you had, that sort of slicked down fringe that covered one of your eyes, that was like the antithesis of metal. It was like metal punk in the 80s, wasn't it? It was just...
I think, there was definitely like this weird cultural tribalism between the two subcultures.
And you particularly see it at places like Download, even in 2006.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like emos were just openly abused.
But I think also you forget how in general the music culture of the early noughties was a lot more vicious than it is now. Like the tone of it, I mean, not that really, sadly, not really that like music journalism magazines really exists all that much anymore, but of what is left, the tone is much more positive and uplifting, and like we're not existing just to cut bands down. Whereas in the early noughties, like you pick your factions, and even the journos would go all in against certain acts and stuff, and like it was a lot more vitriolic. It was and like that obviously played out in like music fans, and like neither of us would be caught dead, picking up Enemy or anything at that time.
But
it was only Metal Hammer. Like,
but it also
even
says
Kerrang was like on the edge. For us, right? Which is stupid. But
it also says something though about how, and this is something that's changed massively. You've probably talked about this before, about how Funeral for a Friend were particularly, I mean, not unlucky because anyone could have seen that coming. Like they were not the right fit.
Yeah.
But any band opening for Maiden used to get a really hard time. I mean, even when Trivium opened in 2006, I mean, on paper, if we're going to take a young band out,
Trivium was a good
on
fit.
The Crusade, which was their most Maiden-y album, that was a perfectly good fit. They still got a hard time.
I remember.
There were still people giving them a lot of grief in the crowd. And then all of a sudden, it seemed everyone chilled out. And now Maiden can bring out Shinedown, who I think are legitimately dross. And people are just politely nodding along. And I'm just like, I mean, come on, guys. I mean...
But again, like, I think...
I don't want to give any bands grief, but I sometimes think...
That rampant fanboyism of you're only there for the headliner was also much more prevalent then. Like, if you went to, like, Slayer gigs, right? Unless the support was perfectly picked, there would be a lot of, like, well, you're not Slayer, so piss off.
Yeah. So, I saw Funeral for a Friend look quite sad on stage for about half an hour. And then, Maiden were just phenomenal. Even if you watch that DVD now, it's interesting how
much younger they look.
Well, how much younger they look. And I dare say I looked quite a lot younger. We all looked younger back in 2000.
Yeah, but you were a child.
I was literally a child, But also how much more simple the production is.
Yeah.
Like, I don't really think there's any pyro. Or there might have been a tiny bit doing Number the Beast. It was a much, even though it still looks really impressive, I think people's, and admittedly Maiden play bigger venues now, right? They're pretty much like they'll do the biggest arenas and stadiums now, clearly. Pretty much anywhere they go. Like, you're not going to see Maiden at the International Arena in Cardiff again.
Which is a real shame.
It is a shame, but I just can't see it happening. But it was a much, compared to what you expect from a Maiden show now, it's actually quite minimalistic. It looked great and it was awesome, but it's funny watching it back where you're like, oh yeah, there's you get your couple of eddies.
Yeah.
Bruce will run around the ramparts a bit. They sound great, of course. It's really high energy, but there's very few bells and whistles that are all...
But again, that's such a wider trend that's happened over the last 20 years. I think people expect much more of a stage show from a live band, particularly mid-sized big bands, than they used to. And like, if you watch live footage of even biggish bands from, I don't know, 80s, early 90s, it's a really stripped down production compared to a smaller band nowadays who might actually have some pyro and stuff. Like the baseline of what's expected from a live show is much more event-esque than it used to be.
Even going to see Saxon,
better and for worse.
right? You know, we saw Saxon recently, and okay, they haven't brought pyro to what is like an 800 cap venue, but
they had a
there's
big
smoke
digital
cannons,
screen,
huge
behind
digital
them.
screen with like pre-made, each song having its own like little video package thing. And that you would not have expected that in a
and like a fair amount of its
theatre-sized
technological advancement has allowed the ease that there's more ease in having a lot of that stuff. You have backlit LED screens and all that jazz. But I also think with gig ticket prices going up and people going to fewer gigs, people expect more of an event of entertainment, more of an entertainment event than
definitely
than before. And I have mixed feelings about that, because I mean, a lot of the time I just want to go enjoy the band, and the band gives off enough energy.
Yeah.
And I think having that higher base level of, you know, pyro and all that jazz means that it's even harder for smaller bands to kind of reach the standard that's expected of them.
Yeah, that is...
This is a complete tangent, but it's something I've been thinking about a lot.
And I think it does hurt.
That shit's expensive, man.
Yeah, and it's harder to get people through the doors for smaller gigs.
Yeah.
When their expectations of what a live show, if what they're used to is, and let's be honest, for most people, their first gigs tend to be big arena shows. I think very few, most people are not going to see like a tiny crust metal band playing 20 people in the pub as their first gig. You kind of work your way to those places, don't you? You start
absolutely,
your big name band probably playing a relatively big room, and if that's what you expect from gigs, you wonder, how do you get people through the door to see something that's just a bunch of people? You know, they might have a backdrop.
And the knock-on effect of that is that bands who should be bigger are playing smaller venues because they can't get enough people through the door because they're not got all the bells and whistles. I mean, this is a real tangent, but we went to see one of the last ever shows of Svalbard last week, which was fantastic in Bristol. That was a hometown show for them, and it was at the Exchange, which is a pretty dinky venue, I would say. Couple of hundred.
Yeah.
Hometown show on their
sold out, to be fair to them.
Yeah, sold out, but on their farewell tour.
Yeah.
Last time they're playing the UK in general, like they're playing Arctangent next year, but for a band that's been plugging away at 15 years, has been critically acclaimed, has done everything right, the fact that they can only get a venue of that size on their farewell tour is a travesty, right? Like, that's criminal. They should have been playing a much bigger venue. It's ridiculous.
And you know, people are going, "Oh, why are all these bands splitting up?" It's like,
it's because no one's going.
This is literally the answer. I saw why.
Bands are splitting up because so much is expected of them at so much of a financial cost, and then no one's turning up. It's like, we're there.
We turned up, Sam.
We're there, but that's because we got nothing better to do with our lives.
True.
But it sucks. We're not going to have new bands for long, right? Like, they're all going to break up.
We'll just be seeing Maiden in their 90s.
But Maiden will die.
They won't. How dare you, Sam?
They will.
Don't say
they're
that.
Not Kiss. They're not going to be replaced with holograms.
He will not die, all right? I can't live in that world.
We're just ruining art for ourselves. Anyway, sorry. Back to the history.
Yes, as a final thought about Dance of Death, one interesting little thing about the Death on the Road tour, it feels like the first time that Bruce really began to kind of embrace costume changes.
That's interesting.
that became. I know that Live After Death, he put on that.
He had the mask, but just
that was
a mask is not a costume.
Yeah.
It's just a mask.
Death on the Road, he actually, doing Passchendaele, put on like a World War One style trench coat, had like a little tin army hat. He put on the the sort of the masquerade ball mask doing Death on the Road. There was a few little things like that creeping in that has now become quite an established part of the Maiden show.
Yeah,
costume
absolutely.
changes.
Yeah.
And all the characters and stuff. Interestingly, because I was wondering, at what point did he start wearing that red tunic for the Trooper?
Yeah.
Not on Death on the Road.
Okay, so was it a matter
The Union
of life
Jack
and
is
death?
there.
Yeah.
Well, no, it was well, as to be discussed, it was on the Early Days tour. Or the Eddie Rips Up the World tour.
Okay.
That is the first outing of that.
Yeah.
Again, has also become something of a thing.
Yeah, because that's now just the standard.
Yeah.
For that.
Yeah, it would be weird if he wasn't wearing it.
Yeah.
And yet, there was obviously a time where that wasn't happening. It's not happening on Death on the Road. But we mentioned the Death on the Road DVD.
Yes.
If you were a fan of Iron Maiden and DVDs, this was a
good time to be a consumer
for you. Yeah, because in 2004 we also got the Early Days DVD.
Yes.
What a DVD!
That's a very cool DVD.
I was almost as hyped for that as A Matter of Life and Death.
It's the thing about the Early Days DVD is it's a really fantastic DVD, and I remember watching it at the time. But it was also touted as like a part one of a series of DVDs.
Which kind of material?
Which kind of materialized and kind of fizzled out.
The thing about the Early Days DVD was,
like, none of it was up to the standard of the Early Days DVD in terms of like documentariness.
Yeah, the detail of the documentary, and also just the amount of genuinely unreleased footage.
Yeah.
And
like so much was unearthed.
Yeah, and this is also, it would never be the same now because YouTube has kind of ruined it. Well, I say ruined it or just made it better, depending on your point of view. But
a bit of both. I think like some of the little bit of magic is gone, but at the same time, the great thing about YouTube is so much additional stuff has been unearthed and not necessarily at the behest of a self-deemed curator. You know?
Yeah.
Like, for instance, this week we saw finally surfacing after like decades a clip of Black Sabbath.
I saw that.
Yeah, just before recording Never Say Die with Dave Walker on vocals.
Yeah.
A brief period where Ozzy had left. And that footage has been like the stuff of myth for years.
Yeah.
And like now it's just in like full quality on YouTube.
Weird, isn't it?
It is so strange.
It doesn't work for me.
It has such, I mean, firstly, like I find it really jarring having completely different vocal melodies to Junior's Eyes.
Yeah.
But it's just
his style of voice, it's so
great singer.
Yeah.
But just it's so much more blues rocky.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting, isn't it? Because Ozzy, on the one hand, is revered as a legend, but there are people who go, oh, well, he can't really sing and yada yada. And actually, you think, without Ozzy's voice, Black Sabbath is a very different proposition.
Yeah.
Very like there is no alternative world where Sabbath could have just been a slightly heavier blues rock band.
Yeah, like a sort of
Uriah Heep or something. You know.
Yeah,
that's not really a good comparison. But
well, I thought this like Junior's Eyes with Dave Walker sounded quite deep purpley.
Yeah.
Not as good, basically.
Yeah. But
whereas like I really like the Ozzy version.
Yeah.
He's not the greatest singer, but there is something so distinctive about his voice that can be quite compelling.
And actually realise his vocal melodies are very heavy. There's something about the way he follows the riff.
They're very
almost like primitive, but in a good way. Like
and they feel sort of alien.
Yeah.
They're not natural sounding in many ways.
Indeed.
But anyway, so yeah, I think in general, YouTube's availability of stuff unearths a lot of cool things, but it's a shame that the early days promise kind of fizzled out.
Yeah, because if you think back to the live footage you got in that DVD, so if you had an old VHS copy of Live at the Rainbow, you might have known that footage.
Yeah,
but the rest of it, the Beast on the Road Live and Hammersmith stuff 82 had literally been sat in a vault. Right?
Yeah.
I don't think anyone outside the band or maybe a few people involved in the filming had ever seen that footage.
Because they were super unhappy with it, right?
Yeah, I don't get why.
It's great.
But they always said, the lighting's a bit dark, and Steve always moaned that the production company wanted to come down and see
Yeah,
the
they
first
didn't
night,
show up, and
they didn't show up, and then it was really dark, and we can't sell this. It's like, yeah, mate, it's not like
looks great.
Like,
Yeah.
see you. I mean,
Yeah.
like I'm sure it wouldn't take much touching up just to anyway. But then the live at the Dortmund Metal Festival stuff as well.
Yeah.
Which I think went out on terrestrial telly in Germany or something, but the rest of the world hadn't seen. Incidentally, again, talking about how great YouTube is now, there is some amazing sets from that same festival. Def Leppard in 83, around the time of Pyromania. Wow, they were on fire.
Yeah.
Scorpions set as well is amazing. There's a Priest one from that same festival.
That sounds fun.
Oh, great. Yeah, and then you've also got that really kind of handheld camera footage of them at the Ruskin Arms in 1980.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, with Dennis Stratton and Diano, obviously. It's like, I felt like such a treasure trove of stuff, that DVD for Maiden fan.
Yeah.
DVDs, eh?
Yeah. As a random aside, bit of trivia I learned recently that I should probably fact check, but I think it's true. I saw a Facebook post from Dennis Stratton that in it he mentioned that he, for a while, ran the Cart and Horses.
That's weird.
Yeah, I think in the 90s.
It's kind of odd for him, just being like, I sort of kind of was a member of Iron Maiden, and now I basically run a Maiden museum / pub.
Well, I think it was less museum-y back then.
Oh, was it? Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
I think it was more the actual pub itself. Right?
But the other reason I think the early days DVDs were worthy of comment is that it sort of sets up a pattern of touring for Maiden that goes on until at least the 2010s, which is new album tour cycle.
Sorry, just going back, I have fact checked it. Here's a post from Dennis Stratton from 27 weeks ago. Let's make this clear so everyone understands. Back in the early 90s, I was running the Cart and Horses. Also, I was a full-time member of Praying Mantis. And then the rest of this post is about the original Iron Man albums, which I think we should cover at some point.
Yeah,
because they are
at some point.
weird.
Also, when he says, let's make this clear, is there some contention about whether he did or didn't?
No, I think
He makes it sound
because
like
the rest
this
of
is
the
some
post is
scandal
about the
about
original
Brain.
Iron Man. I think there's
see.
contention about
Right.
how he got involved in that project.
Okay. Yeah, so this sets up Maiden's pattern of touring, these retrospective DVDs that set them up quite nicely then to not feel the pressure to be constantly recording new studio albums, but it gives them a reason to stay on the road. With the DVDs...
Maybe they needed a little pressure.
Well,
Maybe.
Maybe. But the very excellent new coffee table book, Infinite Dreams, has got a few nice little insights about this.
Oh,
again,
I don't have that book.
I'm without Mick Wall, so
I'd like to have it.
It's a nice thing, Sam. It's a nice thing. But Rod,
I need a
about,
job before I can buy frivolous books.
But yeah, I mean, I would say it's not an essential purchase.
No,
a nice coffee table book about Iron Maiden.
Food and bills are essential.
You can't eat Infinite Dreams, Sam. But Rod said, when DVDs first came out, the label wanted to release all the past VHS videos as DVDs immediately to cash in.
Oh.
We refused and instead staggered the releases between new album tours.
Okay. That's quite savvy.
It is quite savvy, isn't it? Right. And again, there's a sense that in the 21st century, it's unrealistic for Maiden to be putting out an album every year or every 2 years. So the retrospective DVDs basically set them up to kind of carry on touring with a retrospective historical theme show in between the album tours. So again, Rod says they, the band, love touring and playing live, and it was no longer reasonable to expect a new album every year. So this strategy allowed them to go play live on what has generally been a 2-year cycle.
Yeah.
So... yeah, we and this has basically continued to this day, even though they've stopped with the DVDs. It's new album, tour.
4 other albums come out to date.
Well, if we're including A Matter of Life and Death.
A Matter of Life and Death, Final Frontier.
Since 2006.
Book of Souls.
Which is almost 20 years ago.
Yeah.
But we've had a lot of Maiden live.
We have.
So, on the Aftermath of the Early Days tour, we get... Sorry, on the Aftermath of the Early Days DVD even, we get the Early Days tour, or the Eddie Rips Up the World tour to get its correct name. So this happens in the summer of 2005. It's not very long, but it's as is often the case of these Maiden retrospective historical tours, they're shorter but generally play bigger venues.
Right.
So I didn't realise that it's only on the Eddie Rips Up the World tour. This is the first time Maiden headline a stadium in Europe in their own right.
Ah, okay.
In 2005, which is when they did the Ullevi Stadium in Sweden, which is also, there's an amazing, because that was, again, televised on Swedish TV.
Oh, okay.
It's one of the best Maiden live. It's all on YouTube, like a
I'll have to check
multi-camera.
that out. That sounds good.
The Eddie Rips Up the World tour at, in Ullevi Stadium. I used to have it on DVD back in the day, like a DVD-R.
Bootleg.
Yeah. Hey, look, I've given Maiden enough of my own.
Oh, yeah, no. But if it's not officially released, then,
Yeah, no, and again, it seems amazing they haven't. I mean, presumably because it's everywhere now. That cat's out the bag. There's no point.
Yeah.
But, and I hate to say it, Sam, that I did get to see the early days tour at Reading Festival.
Pretty jealous. Pretty jealous.
Shall we just take a look at that set list?
Yes.
Right? Because
yes,
it is one of the most just like amazing set lists, I think, in the history.
What year are we in now?
2005. Yeah. So we're like a couple of years after Dance of Death. So, and interestingly, they made...
I had yet to go to a festival at this stage.
Well, I only went for the day, right?
Yeah.
I pretty much just went to see Maiden. But they did... So there's only 2 UK dates in this tour, again, which is kind of unusual for Maiden at this time, because they were always like, we're a British band, we do.
Yeah.
But again, you can't bank on that for these retrospective tours. It was like, no, it's special, it's one-off. We're going to get everyone down. This was the Reading set list. Opening of Murders in the Rue Morgue. Nice. I mean, again, didn't think I'd see that again, but of course we just did. But then track 2, Another Life. 3, Prowler.
Nice.
4, The Trooper.
Nice.
5, Remember Tomorrow.
Hello.
6, Where Eagles Dare.
Bonza.
7, Revelations. 8,
Sweet.
Run to the Hills.
Excellent.
9, Wrathchild.
Pretty
and in
cool.
the first 5 dates, they were playing Charlotte the Harlot.
Oh.
I didn't get to see that. They did it for about 5 dates.
I wonder why they took it out.
I guess it wasn't. They didn't think it was gelling live, presumably.
I mean,
They swapped it in for Wrathchild.
Wrathchild's the better song.
Well, it's an old faithful, isn't it? They can do that in their sleep. But clearly, they did start off doing Charlotte the Harlot. But then Die With Your Boots On,
Oh, what a great song.
Phantom of the Opera,
Yeah.
Number of the Beast, Hallowed Be Thy Name, Iron Maiden, Encore, Running Free, Drifter and Sanctuary.
I think of those, Die With Your Boots On as the one I'm most jealous of not having seen.
Yeah, for me, it's like...
So I love that song.
I was about to say jealous, I was there. But,
Yeah, exactly. You've seen them all.
But the stuff I want to see again is that Diana stuff like Drifter and Another Life and Remember Tomorrow.
Remember Tomorrow, yes. But Drifter and Another Life. Like, interesting, but I'm not jonesing to see them, where it's like, Die With Your Boots On.
Yeah, Die With Your Boots On is great.
Banger.
Yeah. And
Have you
even
ever
then-
heard the Sonata Arctica cover of it?
Yes, I have actually. And it's
Pretty
great.
good. Pretty good. Yeah.
And even then, Where Eagles Dare was like, well, we've kind of become accustomed to seeing that more often
Yeah,
over the years.
I've seen that a
But
couple of
back then,
times.
Where Eagles Dare was like, oh my God, that had not been in the set for a long time up until that point. It's interesting to think, though, about Iron Maiden headlining in the UK context, Reading and Leeds in 2005.
Yeah. I mean, I remember at
an
the time
odd
it didn't
decision.
entirely make sense, to
No.
be honest. Like, you would have expected a download
You would have done,
rather
yeah.
than Reading.
Interestingly, Steve Harris said at the time they were offered Reading and Leeds, and they did it because, and we're going to talk later about the Ozfest that they did for the Eddie Rips Up the World American leg.
Yeah.
But it seems like them doing Ozfest and them doing Reading and Leeds, Steve has said we were deliberately trying to reach a different, read younger audience.
Yeah.
Although weirdly, their plan to do that was by playing material that was like 20 years old. It was like,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, but I guess, like, the material's 20 years old, but it's probably material that would have, at that point, passed a younger audience by because it was from before their birth. I mean, it was before we were born, right? So I get why they would play older material to kind of air it out to an audience that might not have been exposed to
Yeah.
it. But I still think they were a weird fit for Reading and Leeds.
Mate, I'm looking at the poster for Reading and Leeds 2005. They did not even try and help Maiden by booking anything remotely adjacent to Maiden. You know what I mean? Maiden.
Yeah, but why would they, right?
Well, I guess. Yeah, but I don't know. If you're putting that together as a day, and this was back in the day where...
Oh, wow. Pixies were one of the headliners.
Yeah, Pixies, Foo Fighters... But there used to be, sometimes, there was like an unofficial metal Sunday at Reading and Leeds. You know what I mean? It was never, they never advertised it that way, but the Sunday would often be a day of you might get a Slayer or Slipknot or Mastodon or something on the Sunday, and they might sort of stack the bill with.
But to be fair, if you look at the undercard of Maiden on the Sunday, it is much more the Kerrang audience.
Yeah, it's not a Maiden audience, is it?
No, but that's the audience that Maiden were trying to get on board.
Yeah, I guess.
So, like, you've
Amazing
got an
to see-
undercard of Marilyn Manson,
Yeah.
Incubus, Iggy and the
They were terrible.
Stooges,
They were great.
No Effects, Funeral for a Friend, Alkaline Trio, Turbo Negro, like
My
MCR.
Chemical Romance opening the main stage.
Yeah,
And
man, a time when My Chemical Romance were relatively small.
Yeah, annoyingly, because I was so confused about how I didn't kind of appreciate you had to exchange your ticket for a wristband and stuff. It all felt just very confusing. So the first band I saw of the day were Funeral for a Friend. So I missed Turbo Negro and My Chemical Romance, which is a shame.
That's a shame.
But I saw most of the other bands at that main stage. Iggy and the Stooges was great. Incubus were dross. Marilyn Manson was never really my bag, and
No, and he's also just a shit
awful,
person.
an awful human being, which we didn't. Well, we probably did know back then.
I think a lot of people knew.
No, I mean, yeah, I was
That, again, another
wasn't
tangent,
really that
but-
invested in it.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, this is like a year from MCR becoming huge,
Yeah.
right, with Black Parade. That's interesting.
My take on the crowd of that, there was a lot of people there for Manson,
Yeah.
and because you could spot them a mile off because they were just like uber goths.
It's like when I went, the first gig I went to ever was Slayer Slipknot at the CIA, and you could tell who was there for Slipknot, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
It was most people, not many people were there for Slayer.
Oh, poor Slayer.
I was there for Slayer.
Poor Slayer. But there were obviously a bunch of people in Maiden shirts, but you sense they were probably people like me who'd bought day tickets just to see Maiden.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not convinced how well it worked. The people, our mutual friends from school who went up for the weekend,
Yeah.
your typical Reading and Leeds goers, you might say, they were not watching.
Scum. Subhuman scum.
They were all going to see Block Party on the second stage. I imagine I imagine Block Party was probably rammed.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, they were very popular.
Yeah,
but not a band.
having never been to a festival before, and also not having seen what the crowds were like for the other two headliners the nights before, I couldn't really get a sense of how busy or not it felt for Maiden. But it wouldn't have surprised me if Maiden's crowd was significantly smaller than the Pixies and the Foo
They
Fighters
must
crowds.
have been. Must have been.
You know, I imagine there were probably a fair few people who went home early.
Yeah.
Or just went to go see Block Party. Although I don't know how many day tickets they sold. You know, there might have been a load of day ticket people who compensated, like me. But yeah. But interesting, because it was in the aftermath of what we are going to talk about,
Yeah.
which is the Egggate thing.
Gate.
I remember Bruce, even then, had a real chip in his shoulder because he sort of sensed that he wasn't really playing to his crowd.
Yeah.
Although he actually kind of was, because there's a bunch of people who bought day tickets to see Maiden. But he was, I remember him introducing Run to the Hills, and you can see it on YouTube. There's a few clips of them at Reading where he introduces the song by saying,
I think everybody knows this one. You don't tell.
Ooh, edgy. Bruce.
yeah, it was quite an Aggie Maiden performance.
Yeah.
But this is, of course, off the back of Egggate.
Gate.
Or Sharon Gate, or whatever we're calling it.
Yeah.
Should we get into it, Sam?
Let's get into it.
So, the date is, it's August the 20th, 2005. We're in San Bernardino in America.
Dun, dun, dun. Is that in Texas?
I have no idea, Sam. It sounds like it should be, doesn't it?
It's California.
Okay.
I got the wrong state.
Well, close enough. It's in America. Well, what are Maiden doing in San Bernardino, you ask? San Bernardino. Well, they are direct
Sorry, what's
support.
that name again?
San Bernardino. They are direct support to Black Sabbath on the American Ozfest bill, the now defunct but touring
Yeah.
festival that used to do the rounds in America.
Wonderful pay-to-play experience for most bands.
Apparently so. The Osborne family's answer to the Lollapalooza festival.
Yeah.
After, was it Perry Farrell wouldn't book Ozzy?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
So, in classic spiteful Sharon mode, just said, let's do a festival, name it after my husband.
I kind of respect that in some ways.
Yeah.
That's like great motivation by spite. My issue with Ozfest was always that like lots of acts had to pay to play it, which
Is
I think
not
is
good.
pretty rubbish.
Not good. I mean, Maiden, it's fair to say, though, weren't paying to play.
No.
And quite an incredible bill, really. I mean, even in 2005, incredibly rare to see Maiden appear anywhere not as headliners.
Yeah.
Which I imagine is probably where some of the tension for the starts, right?
Yeah.
But, if you're going to open for anyone, direct support to Black Sabbath, kind of fair enough.
Yeah.
Especially in America. But the reason this event has gone down in infamy is Bruce Dickinson was alleged to have made some derisive comments about, insert reality television, teleprompters, things that were seen as not necessarily thinly veiled digs at Ozzy from the stage. Interestingly, Bruce has always denied doing this. And as we were saying off air, in a world where everything isn't documented on video or camera phones, we will probably never know exactly what he did or didn't say. It doesn't sound inconceivable that
It doesn't. I mean,
made some quite snide comments about reality telly.
Or like said something that could have been easily misinterpreted because he said it in such a antagonistic way. But yeah, it's very interesting thinking of this time period where, like you said, not everything was documented by everyone's phones. And so all we had to go on were like a few photos and an article right up in Blabbermouth.
Yeah.
Which is quite hard to kind of like get a sense of what actually happened. Interestingly, though, I mean, it's Ozfest, right? Like so much of this was actually filmed.
Yeah.
So much so that actually there's an Ozfest 10th anniversary DVD, which documents 2005 Ozfest with live footage, which Iron Maiden don't appear on at all.
That's
which is funny.
It's not surprising, but you almost wonder. I mean, do you reckon Maiden would give them the rights to that? I mean, after what happened, I mean, I doubt the Osbournes would want to include them, and I don't make
like pretty much every other band has at least one song on the DVD, from your Anthraxes to your Hymn to your Wicked Wisdom.
Oh, that's a blast in the past. Yeah.
The Haunted, Trivium, Rob Zombie, and then a bunch of Sabbath songs, Velvet Revolver, No Maiden.
No Maiden. Wow. So Bruce is a chopsy man, as we'd say in South Wales. He's chopsing about whatever he's chopsing about on stage.
Yeah.
And at the last date of the tour, Sharon decided to take her revenge. So Maiden come on from their show, and from the get-go, someone is chanting Ozzy over the PA before the band go on stage.
Yeah.
They then go on stage and suffer a variety of indignities, being pelted with eggs.
Yeah.
The most notorious part of it, having their PA cut at various points during the set. Again, someone appearing on stage waving an American flag. And this sort of legendary incident happened.
Yeah.
I mean,
and like the photos that came out of it were kind of amazing.
Yeah.
Like,
and Bruce's reaction to it kind of earned Maiden a lot of respect, I think. Because this whole thing, regardless of what Bruce did or didn't say, really backfired. Like, it did not play the way I think Sharon thought it would.
Yeah.
So Bruce is recorded as saying during the concert, as the band being pelted with eggs,
If you see somebody throwing some shit at this band and they raise their arm, make sure that when it goes down, it's in two fucking pieces.
and then went on to say,
This is an English fucking flag, and these colours do not fucking run from you, asswine!
I mean, it's actually a Union Jack. Mate,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
Or a Union flag before someone goes, oh, it's only a Union Jack if it's on a boat.
Is that true?
Yeah.
Huh.
Oh, it wasn't a bore off. It's one of those facts that pub bores are always like, oh, it's only a Union Jack if it's on a boat, otherwise it's a Union flag. Yeah, fine. But yeah, technicality aside. And now, I've listened to the footage. When this is transcribed, they say, this is an English fucking flag. And it's transcribed as, these colours do not run from US whites. Right? I've seen it transcribed that many times. To me, it sounds like he's saying, these colours do not run from you arse wipes.
Yeah, that sounds more
Plausible. Because it's white.
Yeah.
The US whites, like...
US whites is not a thing unless he's like really against waspy Americans, which, you know, is fair enough, like after the whole PMRC debacle.
Almost like some kind of inverse racism way.
Yeah. It's interesting how it backfired because obviously, yeah, like you have this almost defiant glory that covers Maiden from the experience. But also, to be honest, like I've kind of just said, like, I admire Ozfest being formed out of spite. But I think when you're at the point where you're meddling with a band set, the only people you're punishing is the punters.
Yeah.
Right? Like that is... Kids at that point would be paying, I can't remember how much Ozfest tickets are, but not cheap, I imagine.
No.
Paying plenty of money to see bands, and you're just effing up their show.
Yeah, you're ruining
for your
set.
own personal
For your own
vendetta.
audience,
Like that's
yeah.
such rubbish behavior, man.
And of course, then immediately after Maiden set, Sharon goes on stage to call him a prick.
Yeah.
Which again,
Like,
you can hear the crowd responses.
There's so many other ways you
has
could
not
have
gone
like
down
spited them that wouldn't have affected the audience. And I think
Yeah.
that's what bothers me the most, is not like the fact that the Osbournes went on a revenge warpath, but the fact that they did it in a way that punishes people who paid tickets money to attend that gig.
Interestingly, because as you can imagine, I've gone down a real wormhole.
Oh,
with
of
this
course.
thing.
It's called a rabbit hole.
A rabbit hole.
Wormhole is
Oh, wormhole. It's a wormhole then.
it's the things in space.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe I've gone down a black hole, Sam, of
Yeah.
this Sharon Osbourne related stuff. And there's footage of Ozzy and Sharon both being interviewed on the Howard Stern show in 2006. And the person who asks them about it is Howard Stern's drummer, Richard Christie.
Ah.
Yeah, of Iced Earth and Death fame.
Yeah.
Right?
Excellent drummer.
Excellent drummer.
Who for quite a while worked on Howard Stern's show. He was on it for years. That was basically his day job.
So he asks Ozzy,
Because Iced Earth don't pay the bill.
no, about, at least in 2006, though.
Yeah. Well, they pay them even less now.
But he asks Ozzy about, so what happened to Maiden at Ozfest? And Ozzy, bless him, is like, I knew nothing about this, and I'm sure it's true. I didn't know it was going to happen. And he said, I definitely didn't condone it when I know it did happen.
Yeah.
It's basically, I don't agree with this. But he did also say, when they said Maiden were going to be on the tour, he said, I didn't really want them to come do it.
That's interesting.
And he said, I just thought that band's going to be trouble. And that's the word he used, is trouble. I thought, that's interesting. I seeing as this is Ozzy, right, he was notoriously trouble.
Yeah.
Usually everywhere he goes. But I get the feeling he probably knew that Maiden were going to be awkward to support.
Yeah.
Because I can imagine Maiden are not going to compromise on their show, their lighting. I imagine bringing Maiden out in the road review comes with an awful lot of T's and C's.
Yeah.
And the spec they want. And this, that, and the other. So I'm guessing that's what Ozzy meant, right? He thought.
But I
this is gonna
also
be a lot of
wonder
faff.
if Ozzy and Bruce had runnings in the past, and like they're quite different people.
Yeah.
And I can imagine them sort of having a little bit of a personality clash, even if like there's nothing specific between them. And like there is, I can't remember if it's Ozzy or Sharon who say it, but like one of them mentions, it's either in this Howard Stern interview or another interview, one of them mentions that Steve Harris comes to them at some point at the Ozfest and apologizes on behalf of like Bruce mouthing off.
Which Steve Harris categorically says he did not do.
Exactly. But the fact that they would paint Steve Harris in that light implies that like, well, Steve Harris is fine.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And Sharon said that. Oh, yeah. The band, their crew are great, but it's like it's a very personal vendetta.
It's
Bruce.
Yeah.
Which is interesting.
Yeah.
Do you want a few? You remember the aftermath of this? Maiden kind of kept quite tight-lipped about it, but Rod put out a statement. So without reading out this lengthy statement in full, let's just pick out a few choice quote words from Rod.
Okay.
So he says, in his 30 years in this business and after attending hundreds of gigs, I've never seen anything near as disgusting and unprofessional as this. The scale, viciousness, and concentration of the throwing made it obvious that this was a premeditated and coordinated attack.
Yeah.
And also he mentions people spitting at the band. And he says to spit at a band on stage is unforgivable.
It's just such a weird thing to do. And I think one extra rub to it is this is sorry, I keep forgetting the year. 2005, right?
Yeah.
So it's the year after Dimebag Darrell had been shot on stage.
Yes.
And
yeah, I
like
didn't
there
even think
is
of that context.
at
yeah.
this point like a little bit of a sense with all metal bands of like a little bit of nervousness about anything interfering with stage shows. Like I don't think anyone's necessarily expecting another active shooter, but
No.
there is a lot more of a sense of like our lives are almost at risk by
Yeah,
performing
and
in a
what's
way that they
worse-
had never been before.
Is it
And
just
particularly in America.
there's almost a way you could have done it where, you know, if someone came on and like pied Bruce at the end of it,
Yeah.
that would almost be like a prank. Right?
Yeah.
It'd be like,
Yeah.
lol, we think you're a bit of a tosser. Here you
Yeah.
go, you've done your set. This is
Yeah.
just our little ha-ha.
But like
your
having
expense. But-
projectiles and stuff thrown
Yeah.
at band is like it also comes with, I mean, not to sound too like pearl clutchy about it, but in that climate, it's like there's a safety risk with
Yeah,
it.
and
like,
from all accounts, well, according to the Sharon's take on the Howard Stern show, is she keeps talking about these Hispanics. she's
yeah,
married.
yeah. I was
just
wondering if we were going to mention that.
Well, I mean, it's a matter of public record.
Yeah.
Sharon going on about all these Hispanics she knows, and keeps using the word Hispanic, which is that fine? Just very odd, isn't it? Very odd. Let's give Sharon a right of reply, though. Okay, so Sharon responded to Rob's letter saying,
Dear Rob,
yeah,
fuck you.
pretty much, only much longer. It says, you claim to have been in the business for 30 years. I mean, it's
yeah.
quite well documented. I don't think it's a
He
claim.
has been.
But then she goes on to
That's
say,
a weird bone to pick. You're allegedly a manager
I was like, well, yeah, the
of a
first
band called Iron Maiden.
first Maiden album came out in 1980. Do the maths. He'd worked
Yeah.
in the music industry for about
Before
5
that,
years prior
yeah.
to that. But she goes on to say, but can you tell me how many times you've heard of an opening band talking shit about the headliner doing their set and getting away with it? Not only is Ozzy the headliner, but he's also the man who's paying your band $185,000 a night.
That's pretty
We
good
gave
paycheck.
Iron Maiden, it is a big check, isn't it? A chance to play to the biggest audiences they have ever played to in the USA. Interesting. That may or may not be literally true. Again, she goes on to say, she says lots of things. You can read the whole thing for yourselves at home, folks. It's on the internet. But yeah, she talks about night after night, we heard his complaints from the stage about how, quote, corporate the venues were and how, quote, outrageous the ticket prices were. Strangely enough, if you want to get a general admission ticket to stand in the field to see Iron Maiden at Reading this weekend, it's going to cost you over $120. I would say that's very pricey, wouldn't you? Imagine paying $120 for a weekend ticket to Reading. That'd be less than £100 now.
Yeah.
Mad. I'm pretty sure my day ticket to Reading was only about £50, which felt like a huge amount of money at the time. But
Actually, very reasonable.
jeez, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I was
Compared
looking at
to
tickets for
modern
Neil
day.
Young next year. £100, see Neil.
I mean, gig ticket prices have gone insane. The Maiden Nebworth tickets are very expensive. Obviously, we've bought them because we're sycophants.
Yep.
But
We're schmucks.
I had pause about it.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, you do wonder, when am I getting off this? When am I getting off this train?
yeah.
Like, as if the train keeps going at this speed
Like, I can't keep
towards
buying
Big
tickets like this.
Bucksville. I'm
Yeah.
going to have to get off.
Yeah.
I can't get off at Big Bucksville, Sam. I haven't got big bucks.
If it wasn't clear, I am literally unemployed.
Yeah.
I should not be buying these tickets.
I feel like the train is very much on the outskirts of Big Bucks, and I'm like, I need to get off.
Oh,
Final point from Sharon. Here's another fact for you, which you've already alluded to. Bruce Dickinson's own band was embarrassed by him. Iron Maiden leader Steve Harris even came to Ozzy's dressing room to apologise for Ozzy for Bruce's behaviour before Maiden took the stage and Sam Bernardino. And interestingly, if that is true, that clearly wasn't enough for Sharon.
yeah.
Still did it
exactly.
anyway.
If that was true,
Yeah, you might go,
then
"Oh,
at
fair
that
enough."
point, wouldn't you call off the dogs? It's just
Yeah.
like, okay, look, we got a problem with this Bruce guy, but you know,
Yeah, look, it doesn't look like
they're trying to.
He is the way he is. Please don't take
Yeah.
it literally.
Instead, it's he apologized, and still, we thought we'd fuck things up for him and his band.
Yeah. But of course, in that sense, we don't discriminate at all. Even though we said the rest of the band are lovely people, they still got egged.
Yeah,
Had their
exactly.
set
If
ruined.
their problem is only Bruce Dickinson, then like putting aside the punishment of the audience, then why are you punishing the band and the crew?
Why not just lay out a banana skin just for
Yeah.
Bruce at the front of the stage?
Yeah, I mean, I think your idea of pieing Bruce was great.
Yeah.
Like, just do something specifically about Bruce, or
That
like
you- that you
put
could- that you
out
could
a
kind of
statement
pass
after the
off
show,
as a
just
laugh.
being like, "This guy's a douchebag."
Douchebag,
Like,
yeah.
it's just, yeah, it's so weird.
Yeah.
So weird.
But in a weird way, like I said, in the sort of public opinion battle that happened afterwards, I think there was no doubt the general consensus was Maiden came out of it far better.
Yeah. Oh,
It was a ton of publicity for Maiden because in the metal circles it was such a huge story. And everyone seemed to come out of it going, "Oh, fair play to you, Maiden." Like, even though they tried to totally screw up your set,
Yeah.
you just seemed to quite
Just,
doggedly
powered
persevere.
on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they came out of it very commendably, even if
think-
it probably was Bruce's big mouth that
Yeah.
indirectly is responsible for it.
I think one interesting thing that Sharon's statement also alludes to is, and you kind of picked up on it before as well, is the tension between the billings of the bands, right? Like, obviously Black Sabbath are a bigger band than Iron Maiden, but referring to Iron Maiden as a support band, even at this stage, feels like kind of weird.
And
like,
I-
they're not a support
Yeah.
band. They are effectively the sub-headliner or like co-headliner because they're that level.
And I wonder if Ozfest had ever paid any band that much to appear before.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, from
I
Sharon's
wonder
point
if
of view,
that's a bone
I
of
wonder how
contention.
resentful she is.
Yeah.
Of being like, "Well, we've got..." But also, like she says, "We're paying your salary." But it's like, well, no, because the amount of people who are buying tickets because
Yeah.
Maiden are on the bill. It's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
you're not doing that out
It's
of the
not
generosity of your heart.
It's not
You're
giving them
that
a
money.
chance.
No.
It is a mutually beneficial
Exactly.
corporate
You
agreement.
have made that investment because
Yeah.
you know you'll probably see
You've booked them
return
for
on
a reason. You've
Through
not
ticket
booked them out
sales.
of the kindness in your heart.
Yeah.
You've booked them because they'll move tickets.
Exactly. But yeah, I imagine there's quite a lot of resentment on both sides. You're right. Maiden, I can't imagine Bruce feels good about opening for anyone in 2005.
No.
You know, even if it is like, you know, direct support, special guest, whatever you want to call it. Bruce is probably a bit like, "I don't imagine, you know, why are we doing this?" Like, I can see Bruce maybe being the outlier here, being like, "Why don't we just do our own shows? Why are we like playing
Yeah.
this sort of kind of..."
But I mean, whatever happened, it's clear that the rift still stood. Like, there was no representation of Iron Maiden at the Back to the Beginning gigs this year. And like, I don't even mean like, oh, they should have been on the bill. Like, there were video messages from your Def Leopards and
Yeah.
your other people. None of that from Maiden. Not even so much as an acknowledgement from the Maiden camp about the Back to the Beginning stuff, or maybe there was about Ozzy's passing.
I think there was a comment from Rod
Yeah,
in the
yeah.
aftermath, just like
But
quite
I think
a
it's
respectful, simple statement.
yeah, but I think it's clear those wounds never really healed between the two camps.
Yeah, interesting. But yeah,
It's
so
also just weird how few Brits were involved in Back to the Beginning, but that's a whole other
yeah,
thing.
yeah. But yeah, interestingly, after the whole American thing, we sort of done this a little bit in the wrong order because then Maiden come back to do the Reading and Leeds,
Yeah.
the August Bank Holiday, and that wraps up Eddie Rips Up the World.
Nice.
So we are almost in a position to start actually talking about a matter of life and death.
They go in, they record an album, jobs are good.
I mean, that's almost all I've got to say about it. But before we get there, lest we forget something else happened in the summer of 2005 that deserves commenting on,
I
which
turned 16.
is the release of Tyranny of Souls, Bruce
Oh, yeah.
Dickinson's...
I thought that was 2006.
No, it's 2005.
Okay.
I've got my notes here, May 2005. Yes, because it was the year we did our GCSEs. I remember
Okay.
that vividly.
Yeah, no, you're right.
It was my GCSE revision listening.
Whereas my GCSE revision listening was Mesmerized by System of a Down, and that is an album I played so much of that summer.
Good album.
Amazing album.
But yeah, I feel...
Much better than Tyranny of Souls.
I really love Tyranny of Souls.
Yeah, but objectively, Mesmerize is a better album.
Sorry, Bruce Dickinson's 6 studio album, which we've said this before.
Swiftly moving on.
You know, listen to some of the solo Bruce specials we've done, because I'm sure this has come up. I just think Tyranny of Souls is criminally underappreciated.
It's not one that comes up in conversation.
No, and it
which is
was at the
interesting.
time. It
Yeah.
came and it went, and I felt like I was the only person who cared about it because they didn't tour it.
Because you were.
I mean, maybe I was. I think it's it's such a good metal album. It's just such a good
Yeah,
melodic metal album.
I think it's a solid album. I don't know it particularly well, and I need to go back to
You
it.
should.
I'm sure, yeah.
I genuinely don't think there's a weak track on it. I think it's just like, I think it's like, 10 songs, 10, 11 songs. absolute bangers.
My main experience of it at the time was the video for Abduction, which was hilariously low budget.
Yeah.
It's just like Bruce at a morgue putting out
Yeah.
a body like an alien in a
It's a bit like
chamber. It's like
we tried to go high concept.
we tried to make Hanger 18, but we didn't have any of the money.
No, but we had like a few £100.
Yeah. What do you want from me?
Yeah, but I hope we come back to Tyranny of Souls at some point, because I think it was just unfortunate the timing. There was so much going on in the world of Maiden,
Yeah.
and Bruce
It got completely subsumed.
and that Bruce never toured it. It just kind of came and went, and and sadly, even now that the Bruce Dickinson project band is back and going, they still didn't really represent it much live. They played Abduction, and that was it. And
It does have one of my all-time favorite Bruce songs. Navigate the Seas of the Sun.
Oh, I Lie, yeah, they did also play that, which is great.
I just think it's a very beautifully gentle song.
It's gorgeous.
Lovely melody.
But, I think the title track's great. Soul Intruders, Kill Devil Hill, Believal.
Believable is not a good.
It's not good. It's not good.
It's a very
But
what's that
Hog's
band?
really good.
Hell, that's the kind of name that hell would come up.
Believable. But yeah, so that happens as well. And then in March 2006, presumably they've all had a little bit of break, they reconvene in Psalm West Studios, which I always confuses me, because I thought there's a services just outside Bridgend called Psalm Services.
Okay.
They didn't.
They're in a welcome break outside of Bridgend.
They meet in Psalm Services on the M4 just outside Bridgend. No, they meet in Psalm West Studios in London in March of 2006 with Kevin Shirley, of course. Who else? Yep. To start recording their new album. So what can we say about that, Sam? The recording? Well, sessions are very quick. So according to Bruce, the band finished within 2 months, and I think they'd booked the studio for about 4-5 months.
Oh, wow. Okay.
But they literally wrap up with time to spare.
Yeah.
Around the time, Steve Harris said a lot of what they record are first takes.
That's interesting.
Yeah, hence why they do it so quickly.
Yeah.
It seems they really take Shirley's "We're doing everything live" to the max with A Matter of Life
Right.
and Death.
Yeah. Which they'd kind of been doing on Dance of Death, but they're like continuing that.
They're leaning in on it even more, I think. It's like fewer overdubs, more first takes. We're going for this whole idea of spontaneity, catching a vibe, catching some energy.
I get that. That's fair enough.
The writing also is very collaborative again. So lots of Smith collaborating with Harris, collaborating with Dickinson.
Yeah.
Steve and Yannick collaborating. Also a Harris and Dickinson co-write, which is quite unusual, just the two of them.
That is quite unusual, yeah.
Yeah, although weirdly, a lot of No Prayer for the Dying is Harris and Dickinson co-writes. But it doesn't really happen much else, yeah. But yeah, I think you've spoken about Navigate the Seas of the Sun now. Now all I can think about is Navigate the Seas of the Sun.
What a song.
Out of the Shadows, which is almost quite similar to Navigate the Seas of the Sun in some
There's
ways.
a vibe.
I think that's a Harris and Dickinson co-write.
Okay. That's a great song. I love it.
Yeah. So about the new material they're putting down, Steve Harris said, it's heavier than we've ever been, but also very progressive. That was a real talking point, I remember, at the time of Matter of Life and Death, and it was like, oh, it's the heaviest Maiden album.
Is it? I'm not sure I agree with that.
Well, it's quite a nebulous concept, heavy, isn't it? It's like what is and isn't heavy. It's kind of a very meaty sounding.
It's very
Maiden album.
progressive. It's sort of proggy.
Well, Steve Harris says, but also very progressive. And I don't mean that in the modern sense, like Dream Theater, more in a 70s way.
Yeah.
I like how Dream Theater was his reference for modern prog in 2006.
Well, I mean, I think that made sense for 2006. 6 Degrees of Inner Turbulence would have come out, 2006?
Yeah, but Images and Words came out about 1992.
Yeah. No, but Dream Theater, it was around like 2005 that they started to become like quite a big name.
Oh, right, okay, yeah.
I think they'd had success in the 90s, but I think it was like around 6 Degrees of Inner Turbulence and Octavarium that they were much more of like a household.
Interesting, because I don't
prog
rate those
metal
records all that much.
No,
actually.
no, but I think it's just when they kind of reached their cusp a bit more. Although, having said that, the only successful song they ever had was Lifting Shadows Off a Dream, I think. So,
But around this time, Kevin Shirley used to keep on the Maiden website, there was like a live in the studio diary thing.
Okay.
Updated, and some of it's been archived. It makes for quite interesting reading. So these are Shirley's contemporary reflections.
All the songs are very long. They won't let me edit anything. Steve is watching me as I type this.
So he wrote this diary entry as they were wrapping up recording A Matter of Life and Death. He says, I'm pretty happy.
Dear diary.
I'm pretty happy Steve really, decided against using the mastering. Because, of course, the big talking point here is it was not mastered, right? Shirley says, I dig it. Interestingly, he does say it was basically Steve's decision. For all the little extra hi-fi nuances they add in mastering, the raw attack and bite of the original mixes is quite refreshing to hear. It is exactly, all caps, as I mixed them in the studio, exactly what the guys in the band heard. In the mastering process, the mastering engineer sometimes takes it upon himself to be creative, say to add certain frequencies which boost vocals or the bass, which makes the balance between the kick and the bass guitar change, and on many occasions I've got a mastered CD back and then I've been unhappy, but usually blame myself. Even when we mastered this album, which we didn't use, it had a little analog compression added, which brings the guitars up a tiny bit and knocks the transients off the snare drum. Don't know what that means. Thus diluting the attack and impact of the snare. Now, what you'll hear on the Maiden album is the way it sounded in the studio. And while it may not be as loud as some other CDs, who gives a fuck?
So I got two thoughts about this.
Yeah.
Or maybe more than two. Let's see where I net out. So, firstly, I think the fundamental misunderstanding here is the mastering process is not necessarily for the benefit of the band. I think Shirley's point about some of the creative vision gets changed by overzealous masterers is a really fair point. And I can imagine if you're someone who's meticulously mixed something and you get a master back and some of the levels and the nuances are different, you're pretty annoyed by that. But the mastering is not done. I mean, the mastering is not really done for the purpose of listening to the album back in a studio. The mastering is done to sort of create a base level version of the album that will work across the lowest common denominator of home consumer model hi-fi systems and speakers. It is to get the best possible sound in the... Maybe this is not the intention, but my understanding is part of it is to get the best possible sound across the widest range of speakers. Yeah. Viable for the widest range of experiences. It is not for the album to be played back on studio monitors where you have an entirely different listening experience anyway. So the whole narrative of now people will finally hear what we hear in the studio, they won't. Because they're going to be listening on tinny speakers or wired earphones.
Well, especially back in the mid-2000s, which was not a golden era for like home audio.
They'll be listening...
Terrible headphones.
I mean, I was listening
CD,
on a little Discman with some wired earphones that would have been £5-10 from Woolies or whatever. Or on my home computer speakers, which were pretty small and tinny as well. I was not getting an audiophile experience. I mean, to this day, I'm rarely getting an audiophile experience because that's not how life works. So,
case for the defense, though. Yeah. A lot of mastering around this time was awful, right?
So, that was going to be...
Death Magnetic, right? Which came out a year later, 2007, I want to say, which is probably the textbook example of how mastering can... just how it had gone to a crazy extreme with compression and bizarre EQ. So this wasn't a golden era of mastering, basically.
No, you're right. And you make a good point about mastering then being contentious. And this is peak what was called the loudness wars at this time, where the mastering approach to any record, any record was to basically just punch up the compression and the volume as much as possible so that when you put that music on, it sounded louder than anything else that you'd heard, and you would mistake that to think, oh wow, this is heavy or has more impact to me just because the volume is louder. But what that resulted in was all the dynamic range of music being completely crushed. So you brought up Death Magnetic as a really good example of that. So if you think of the waveform of, say, a Metallica record in the 80s, there's lots of up and downs, there's lots of highs and lows, and a dynamic range where you get differences in volume, which allow you to hear lots of different frequencies. Whereas with Def Magnetic, it is so compressed that that waveform that kind of looks more like, originally kind of looked like the peaks of a mountain, is now just one block.
Like a big old slab.
Like a slab of music
sound.
and sound. And the result of that is you get loads of clipping and interference.
Yeah, like the music sounds audibly distorted, and not in a good way. You know what? I know we don't talk about them anymore, but another really egregious example of this is the first Ailstorm album, where there is so much clipping and just moments where the music is audibly crackling at how it's just been brick-walled into this kind of...
Brick-walled is the term of the day, right? Like like so much music sounded really bad.
So in a way, there is something kind of refreshing about this record.
Get where Shirley's coming from with that, but then the result is a sort of the opposite problem, right? Like, yes, the music's not brick walled, but it's also not really tuned to consumer audio listeners.
No, although it's worth saying that pretty much most people listening to this album now are not listening to an unmastered version, because the version that's on streaming services is a 2015 remaster.
Yeah, which is interesting.
I mean, presumably it's just a master, right? Because I don't think it had been mastered previous to 2015.
Yeah.
So you have to dig out your old CD copy to hear. I mean, we'll get deeper into the production when we talk about the songs, I guess. But I didn't really notice much of a difference at the time.
I didn't notice a huge difference.
I mean, I was quite a naive,
to be honest.
And like I said, was probably not listening.
I think the bigger problem is the actual mix and production is...
Hold those thoughts, Sam. Although, interestingly, according to another studio diary, Shirley wrote during the recording that 90% of the vocals, he said, that ended up on the record were Bruce's tracking vocals.
That's interesting.
Which is kind of a callback to the X Factor, or Virtual 11, actually. Remember where we said again...
It was X Factor in particular where...
Yeah, it was X Factor, you're right.
Yeah, like very non-produced.
Those were Blazer's guide vocals.
Yeah.
It's almost like Steve Harris is going, you hated the X Factor, I told you it was good, see? I'm just doing it all again now.
Well, look, I've said this a few times already, but I think there is... something happens around the X Factor where Steve just kind of decides this is the way I want to make albums.
Yeah.
And that infects everything from songwriting to production values. And that, I still think that's fully at play on a matter of life and death anyway.
Yeah,
we'll come on to it more when we talk about the material. Now,
as well as recording the 10 songs that appear in the album, they don't have any original material left over for B-sides, okay?
Yeah.
So, and they didn't really for Dance of Death either. We just get some like jams, basically.
Yeah.
That Pass the Jam and Mortivica, those sort of silly throwaway stuff. This time they go for covers, okay? So, but interestingly, we know from the documentary, and again, those of us who have the bonus CD, it came with a pretty unremarkable making of DVD documentary, which I don't, unless you're the most dyed-in-the-wool Maiden fan.
I wouldn't recommend it.
It's dry, isn't it? I mean, even me, who will quite happily listen to Steve Harris talk about most things, an hour of it is like, oh, this is a bit of a slog. But they hint at recording 4 covers.
Okay.
But only 2 of them have ever been released. So on the B-sides for one of the singles, we get their cover of Hocus Pocus by Focus, which is good fun.
Yeah, except it doesn't have the vocal part.
Well, it does. It's got Nico doing it, but doing like he doesn't kind of yodel, but he does There's Nico kind of doing, which is, I mean, yeah.
I would have just liked to have heard Bruce like do the proper
yodeling,
like yodeling, screaming.
I mean, if you don't know what we're talking about, folks, just listen to Hocus Pocus by Focus. It's actually a really good album, like the whole.
But also better than listening to it. Watch the live clip of Hocus Pocus by Focus.
Yes,
because it's great.
Yeah. They also recorded a cover of Space Truckin' by Deep Purple that ends up on a classic rock kind of Machine Head revisited type album that also had Metallica doing When a Blind Man Cries, which is quite interesting.
Yeah.
And I think it was like Chickenfoot, that band with Satch and
Hagar.
Hagar, so I was going to say Glenn Hughes, right? Yeah, doing Highway Stars.
I mean, basically, the band that exists now is the best of All Worlds tour.
Yeah.
Really?
You're right,
It's
actually.
basically Chicken Foot.
It is basically Chicken Foot.
Like I think they play some Chicken Foot stuff and obviously all the Van Halen.
But Maiden do a fun, but arguably slightly perfunctory cover of Space Truckin'.
Yeah. I think you could say a lot of Maiden covers are arguably pretty perfect.
There aren't really, yes, it sounds harsh. I don't think there are any really classic, great Maiden covers. They're fine.
The only one I really love is the Blaze era cover of Doctor Doctor.
Interesting.
So I think Blaze's voice works so well for that song.
Well, the one I always go to is they do a cover of the song King of Twilight by the 70s prog band Nectar that I think appears on the B-side of Aces High, which I quite like.
There's a version with Bruce, when Bruce is in the band, of Communication Breakdown that I think robs the song of all of its vibe.
Yeah.
It's just incredibly soulless.
Yeah, I know.
This is a real shame. And it's hard to put my finger on why, but it just like, it has no sway to it.
But that leaves us with these two mystery covers, right?
Sorry.
That apparently have been recorded and are still in the vault somewhere. There's a suggestion that one of them might be an acoustic cover of Tush by ZZ Top. Because Maiden did used to cover Tush.
Great song.
Back in the
Great
early
song.
80s.
Yeah.
And possibly the other one, there's some conjecture that it may be another Thin Lizzy cover. Because they'd already done Massacre.
Yeah.
So someone was suggesting, because Bruce did a version...
Surprised they never
John
covered
Lord.
like Emerald.
Yeah, well, that's
That would
it.
work really well for me.
There is a version of Bruce singing Emerald live.
Oh.
What is it? It's like John Lord's charity project.
Oh, okay.
There's something ball that Bruce used to pop out in. It's just live shows as a guest vocalist.
Yeah.
And it was like John Lord's sort of project of guest musicians.
Cool.
But yeah, there's a live version of Bruce doing Emerald, which is good.
Yeah, I imagine his voice would work really well for Emerald.
So yeah, we may or may not see them.
I mean, Maiden loved their Celtic stuff. From this
Yeah,
point
it's true.
onwards, so-
There's a lot of Maiden that I think you can draw quite a direct thread to Emerald and Wishbone Ash in particular.
Yeah,
Similarly to those Celtic-inspired lead guitar things. But we get the album released on 25th of August 2006.
Yeah.
Maybe the only other final thing that's worth saying about the run-up to the release of the album is the album is preceded by a single. That's not unusual.
Yeah.
But what is unusual is the fact that the song debuts as a video online on the internet before the physical single goes on sale, which is the reincarnation of Benjamin Brieg. So the video debuts on ironmaiden.com, initially just for fan club members, but of course not realizing that everyone's just going to rip that video and post it everywhere.
Yeah.
I think they quickly abandoned that. But also, do you remember the whole law that went around Benjamin Brieg? They created that fake website, like whoisbenjaminbrieg.com or something, that gave this like 3,000 page fictional autobiography of this person who clearly didn't exist. But it was a very different marketing approach to Maiden. The first time they've really harnessed the internet in that way to kind of do that. You know, no one was using the word viral in 2006, were they? But like,
I think they were.
were they?
Yeah.
Maybe.
But yeah, it was very internet-led marketing. I think it's interesting that in some ways their approach hasn't changed since then. If you think of the run-up to Senjutsu, where it's kind of like, ooh, all this stuff about Balthazar and Bruce is wearing a T-shirt about Balthazar.
Yes, and then they got
it was just
Turner
all
to wear it, didn't they?
it was all just incredibly underwhelming, leading into writing on the wall.
It felt a bit more exciting in 2006.
Exactly.
I was the right age to be receptive to that sort of thing as well. But it did feel like, oh my God, who is Benjamin Brieg? No. I mean, he's literally just a random.
Just made him up.
Yeah, it's just two random names they've shoved together. But yes, the artwork to bring the first part of this doubler to a close. So
I mean, it's better than the last one. So
wow, I mean, can you imagine if it was worse? What would that even look like?
Yeah.
But a new Maiden art collaborator in the form of Tim Bradstreet, a artist from the world of comic books.
Yeah.
Apparently best known for working on the Hellblazer and Punisher comics. But also a lifelong Iron Maiden fan, according to himself. Says a lot of his illustrations were originally inspired by Derek Riggs's artwork anyway.
Makes sense.
So yeah, said it was, quote, one of my wildest dreams to work with Maiden.
Aha, wildest.
Hey. And I'm not even sure if he Maybe, I don't know, maybe.
Never listened to
I've never listened to Dance. He's like, actually, I only liked them up until about 86.
Yeah. They lost me at No Prayer.
But I think this is a cool Maiden cover. You're very quiet, Sam.
Yeah.
I mean, this appeals to a lot of my interests, right? I like military history. But I like war. I don't like war, but I'm...
You kind of like war.
Yeah, kind of like war. Yeah.
Like,
I don't,
that sort of like Anaraki nerd interest
you
kind of
know.
way.
Like,
I mean, you are a history grad.
yeah.
Well, a history PhD, really.
I mean, the Imperial War Museum is like my idea of a fun day out, right? So,
Yeah.
in that sense, I do like war.
Whereas so little of that stuff appeals to me.
Yeah, so I guess this is not for you.
I think the cover always leaves me a bit cold. And I think, to be honest, a lot of the militaristic theming of the album just means nothing to me.
Oh, I love
it just does very little.
I'll tell you who else I think also liked it. A bunch of Swedes who
Also liked weapons.
who had a
called
new band called
Sabatons.
Sabaton. Yeah. Who thought tanks? What is more metal than an actual tank?
And I mean, it's obviously a well done cover. The artwork is very nice. It's clearly.
I mean, we should say, I mean, of course, you know what this cover looks like, listener, but it's the kind of, the tank is the central image. You've got some ghoulish apocalyptic soldiers, like 1940s, 50s dress. The interesting talking point here, I think, is how small Eddie is.
Yeah.
Is this the most discreet Eddie on
It's a very discreet Eddie. I think the thing that leaves me coldest about this album cover is the color scheme. It's very grey, dark green, black.
Kind of has to be, though. You can't have...
Kind of, but if you
For the
compare it
concept.
to, say, like, I don't know, the Trooper cover.
Yeah.
Again, a war context, right? But it's very lively in the palette, you know? It has a lot more pop to it. And yeah,
But again, you know...
I just find this quite a boring cover.
Talking of... Oh, see, I really like it.
Yeah.
And this again
That's fair
reflects
enough.
Maiden going more, you know, as they have been since the X Factor, slightly darker, more realistic-y type covers.
But it's not realistic. It's
Of
a
course
comic
it's not.
book artist. There's outlines on the characters. Like,
And people point out how what became semi-iconic at the time, the sort of Cross Guns logo Eddie, which was a cool visual thing.
that's quite a cool bit of
But
iconography.
people, military nerds, point out that where the cartridges on the assault rifle is totally ridiculous, because if you see where the magazines are, they're kind of literally right by the nozzle.
Oh, yeah, okay.
You see what I mean? So that, I mean, symmetrically they work, but as like visual representations, they are
Sure.
not accurate. Military nerds they say, oh, the magazine wouldn't be there,
Well, la-dee-da.
but then it wouldn't look good, would it? If you put it where it should be.
But it's a fine album cover. Does the job.
I dig it. Yeah, I do dig it a lot, and yeah,
It's a good course correct from Dance of Death.
it is. It is.
But I think in terms of the vision of Dance of Death is a much more interesting cover to me than the vision for this. So
Potentially,
the execution of this is so much better.
Oh, so much better.
But
yeah, it is well executed.
what Dance of Death wanted to do, effectively a cathedral album cover, is much more
But
interesting.
also, what we have here as well is actually Eddie inhabiting a distinct world and theme again.
Yeah,
Which you
that's
you
true.
can't even really see, say, Brave New World. It's quite an abstract concept. Dance of Death, it's not really clear what kind of world. It's clear what Eddie they're going for, but
Yeah.
you know, that kind of idea of Eddie as world building and regenerating Doctor Who like in a different setting in each album. This feels like returning to that. It's like, oh, Eddie's now kind of in a mid 20th century conflict again as a soldier.
Yeah.
Like this all kind of makes sense in the way he was in the pyramids and then he was in the
I get you, I get
cyborg and
That's on the side. I don't think I've ever heard anyone like an Eddie to Doctor Who. But
just
actually, that's
regenerate.
quite a good
Thank you.
analogy for like the regeneration thing. I just wonder how many people will be up in arms about that.
Well, come at me. Well, don't. I won't read what you say anyway. So it's a waste of your time. But yeah, how distinct and subtle the Eddie is. It's almost like, where's Eddie, isn't it? It's like, it's all these characters. I was trying to think of...
As an aside, considering the merchandising empire that is Iron Maiden, how have they not released a Where's Eddie book? That'd be great.
Eddie, yeah. Come on, Rod, you can have that. I was about to say you can have that for free, actually.
At least
Email me, we'll
sling us
negotiate.
some troopers or something.
I mean, considering I own none of the rights to Where's Wally or Eddie, I don't think Rod really needs
I
to
don't think you have much
negotiate.
of a leg to stand on
Yeah.
here.
But you know, the only other Maiden artwork I was thinking of, like, a comparably subtle Eddie, I think you've got to go back to the Twilight Zone single. You know, where it's the woman staring in the mirror.
Yeah.
And kind of just a ghostly Eddie in the background.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I appreciate it's not your cup of tea, but yeah, I was very excited conceptually.
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
You nerd.
So yeah, I guess that brings the first part of the history to an end and sets us up nicely to talk about some long songs.
Some very, very long songs.
I like them, but I think
I mean, spoiler alert, I think there's a lot of good stuff on this album.
Yeah.
I'm not... There's been like a little bit of a build-up on our socials that seems to imply that people think I'm going to really slag off this album.
No matter what.
But I quite like this album. That's yeah. But I'll get into more. I have many criticisms about it, but you know,
and the
that's
thing
me.
is like, not wishing to totally preempt next episode, I think our basic criticisms will be the same, but I get the feeling that you think they start here, whereas I think they start a bit later. But I think the problems are. But yeah,
I think most of my criticisms seem to start from the X Factor onwards.
Yeah,
to be
definitely.
honest.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just saying the same thing every episode now. But yeah.
More on that later.
Well, before we wrap up, should we have our section with no name, where we recommend an album that we've each been listening to recently?
Let's do that. While I think of something, Sam, do you have something off the top of your head for something you've been listening to you want to recommend to the good people at home?
Yeah, actually, an album I've been listening to a lot in the last week is the new album from the band Astronoid. The album's called Star God.
Ah, yes.
And it's sort of... I mean, I haven't listened to Astronoid since their first album, which was like 10 years ago. And I really loved that first album, Air. And at the time, it was sort of billed to me as a major key version of black metal. So lots of tremolo picking, lots of blast beats, but everything... And like really... But like everything sort of inverted with like really lovely lilting melodies and like... clean, high-pitched vocals, all sort of like, just like a inverse world version of black metal, and with a bit of like gazy stuff in there, sort of, I guess like a little bit Alcesty at points. But their latest album, Star God, which I think is their fourth album, it takes that template, but then combines it with 80s synth rock, and you just get this really cool, catchy, spacey album that at points sounds a little bit like Devon Townsend-y when it's got some chuggy bits, but never gets anywhere near as heavy as some of Devon's stuff. And the rest of the time sounds a bit like an 80s synth pop album, but with like loads of metal tropes sort of baked in there. It's a really interesting album. Sonically, like I've not heard much like it, but it's also just really, really good.
I mean, that sounds like a bit of me, actually.
And it's very euphoric.
Yeah.
And yeah,
that sounds
it's a very emotive album.
Yeah,
very into it.
My pick for this episode is the new Creeper album, Sanguivore 2,
okay.
Mistress of Death, which, it just makes me smile so much. It's just, it's like, if you liked Sanguivore Part 1, it's just conceptually following on from that. Jim Steinman-esque meets Sisters of Mercy, meets bits of 80s, like Cyndi Lauper style pop and hair metal. I'm just, that's just me, isn't it?
Yeah,
I think,
but it's also me.
The songwriting's really sharp as well. I think
it hasn't clicked with me in the same way.
Yeah,
I loved Sanguivore Part 1, which was basically Meatloaf for goths. Like, perfect. That is my jam. But
I mean, I'd say this album's also Meatloaf for goths.
Yeah, but just for whatever reason, it hasn't grabbed me in the same way. But I need to go back to it.
Yeah, it might be a timing thing.
Yeah,
I think it's great. If anything, I still think it's maybe slightly better than Sanguivore Part 1.
It's a high bar to beat.
It is, yeah. But I'm like, no, I think it's, consistently very good. So, I guess that is over and out from Maiden Voyages HQ.
That is, we finally recorded an episode.
Thank God.
You can follow our sporadic updates on our social media channels. The main one being Instagram @MaidenPod, which is where we do most of our communication nowadays. You can also email us, maidenvoyagerspod@gmail.com.
Don't forget the money, Sam.
Yeah, if you want to help support the show, which we run at a massive financial loss.
Yeah.
Maybe not massive, but you know,
This is like
we have not generated a profit
each
here.
episode costs us about £10,000 to make. We record these in Abbey Road.
Yeah.
And they're mixed by Bob Rock.
Sure. If you want to support the show, you can go to our Ko-fi, which is linked to on our social media channels. But I think we're just under Maiden Voyagers Pod on that, or maybe Maiden Pod. And you can bung us a couple of quid to fund our beer habit.
£100 if you want.
That would be too much.
No, it wouldn't. that'd be fine. I'd like that.
But yeah, that just helps us fund the fueling for the show of beer and make sure that we can actually replace mics when we break them and pay for our hosting costs and pay for any other services we're subscribed to.
Yeah.
To make
And we both have mortgages, so you know.
Yeah, it's not going to chip anything off those, to be honest.
He's got to wait for that one wealthy benefactor who loves Maiden Sam.
Very well. It's Rod. It's Rod Smallwood.
He's going to pay off both our mortgages.
Yeah.
He could
On the
do
proviso that we stop the show and stop slagging off the band.
He's got a deal. I was going to say, I'll have to think about it. No.
I got no integrity.
No,
I
that's fine.
take it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cheers, Rod.
Yeah. Thanks.
And thank you to you for listening.
Yeah. We will be back with a rundown of the tracks next time.
Indeed, yeah, we'll get into the trenches if you like.
Oh, got it. Okay. All right, I'm ending it here. Bye.
Bye.